Hi, and welcome to Chef Maxwell's Kitchen in the heart of the home at Meadow Event Park in Doswell, Virginia. Each week, we play with some great Virginia food and do recipes that you can do in your home. So today, we've got a real special treat. Now, I know everybody likes chili, and almost everybody that likes chili has got a really good recipe for chili. So I know you're going to enjoy yours, but this is one that I won the State Fair of Virginia Best Tasting Chili in Virginia competition a couple of years ago, and I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. All right, so we're going to start with a hot pan, and I'm going to add a little bit of peanut oil. Right, I like peanut oil because it gets hotter than other oils, doesn't have a very strong flavor, so the food doesn't get too affected by that. So now, in order for this chili to work well, I need the meat to stay intact. So I've got some pork that I diced up. Now listen to this. Love it when the food sings to me. All right? There's some pork and some beef. All right? And I'm going to stir that around and let that sear. So we're going to give that a couple of minutes. All right? And you can see down here where there's some brown starting at the bottom of the pot. That's called a fond in classical cooking. That's bits of the food and bits of the protein that are sticking to the bottom of the pot. A lot of times, and it's been brought to my attention, that you usually do things like garlic and onions first and then add your meat. And then oftentimes that's true, but every time you add a vegetable to your pot, you're adding water, and water has a tendency to never get hotter than 212 degrees, so it drops the temperature in your pot. So I like to brown the meat first and then add my vegetables to it. All right, I'm looking down at my pot here and I can see that it's all seared off. It's not all brown, but that's okay. It is all seared. So now I'm going to add my garlic, and this is chopped garlic. All right, and I'm going to stir that around a little bit to get that distributed. Now I'm going to add onions. All right. And I'm going to add green peppers. And I'm going to stir that around. All right. And make sure that the pot comes back up to heat. Because remember, I said as soon as I add the vegetables, adding that liquid that's in those vegetables lowers the temperature, so we need to wait for that to come back up to heat. Now I'm going to add some tomato paste. I'm not sure whether the camera will be able to pick this up, but what we're going to try and do is something called a pincée. Right? And that means we're going to stir this tomato paste around, right, and let it cook on the bottom. We're going to add the tomato to the fond, to the brown stuff that was already on the bottom of the pot. And as it starts to cook, we'll see, and it's hard for me to see, so I know it's hard for you to see, we'll see some oil begin to leach out of the tomato paste. It'll be kind of an orangey oil, and that's what I'm looking for. As soon as that starts to leach out, right, then I know that my tomato is about ready, and that means that the sugars that are in the tomato has started to change, right? So now we're going to add some wine, some red wine, and we've got a red tomato in here and a red wine, right? I'm going to stir that around, and you can see almost instantly it begins to turn brown. All right. So we want more brown in there, so we're going to add 2 brown liquids. Then we're going to add some beef stock in here. All right, and stir that around, and this will help give it a nice rich flavor. And we're going to add some coffee, some good leftover, almost undrinkable coffee. Now, I drink coffee that's a day, 2 days old, so it's not undrinkable for me, but for civilized people, right, this might be a little extreme. So we're going to let that come to a boil, right? And while we're doing that, I'm going to add a couple of more ingredients. I'm going to add black beans, right, that I have cooked, par cooked, right? And I'm going to add pinto beans. Now the recipe calls for Anasazi beans, but they're very difficult to find, and you can only find them really dried, so they take a long time to cook. But pinto beans will work. Those go in there. Now, because I want this to achieve a Tex-Mex kind of flavor, I'm going to add a little bit of salsa. And it doesn't matter the brand that you use, whatever brand of salsa that you like, as long as it's a basic tomato salsa. That ties in lots of the flavor. I didn't give it enough to really change the flavor. I gave it enough to kind of provide some background. This dried pepper is called an ancho, and it is a ripe, dried poblano pepper. And that's what an ancho is. And this is a chipotle pepper. And a chipotle pepper is a jalapeno pepper that's been smoked. So those are the two peppers that I'm going to put into this recipe. Right. Now you can buy chipotle pepper in a jar. It works fine. It doesn't make any difference if it's dried and ground or dried and chopped. But I'm going to put a chunk of this in there, right? Cut a little bit off so it goes into the thing, and just drop that whole thing down in there. Right? Cut this up a little bit more. Now these will reconstitute in there, but the big one I'll be able to pull out. The little one I won't. And I'm going to do the same thing with the ancho pepper. Inside here are a lot of seeds. I just assume that didn't come out and go into the recipe, so I'm going to put 2 ancho peppers in there and let them simmer. I'm also going to add some cumin seed. Now cumin seed is one of my favorite spices. I ground this up. Oh, it's nice. It is chili. Right? That's the best I can describe that smell. So I'm going to add the cumin seed, and I'm going to be pretty generous with this. It's the classic chili spice. All right. And the only other thing I've got to add to this is tomatoes. All right. Can of tomatoes and some vinegar. And I'm using pub vinegar. It's malt vinegar. It's got a nice round, smooth flavor. And now everything that's going in this is in it. And what we've got to do now is wait. Find something to do for about 2 hours. All right, we've got this wonderful chili. It's cooked a long time. It's tightened up nice. It's good and thick. All right, and we're going to spoon this out. All right, we're going to take a little sour cream and put that right on top. All right, and then we're going to take some shredded cheddar cheese and sprinkle that on top. And we are all ready to sit down with beer and cornbread and knock out some chili. We'll see you next week here at Chef Maxwell's Kitchen in the heart of the home in Doswell, Virginia at Meadow Event Park.
Recipes from the heart of the home can be found on Chef Maxwell's website, chefjohnmaxwell.com.